In this video, I'd like to share some winter riding upgrades I just made to my SR250 Yamaha that I recently rebuilt. If you haven't seen that rebuild series and you're interested in wrenching on motorcycles, I do hope you'll look that up. So I wanted to start riding more in the winter, and I wanted to set a goal of winterizing the motorcycle a little bit better, and I thought, what could I do for $100? I eventually ended up spending $140, but here's how it all shook out. Here's what I purchased. It made sense to address the pain points that I was feeling when I was riding in cold weather, and that was primarily my chest getting cold, my torso, my hands, and then the tops of my legs. If your chest and your torso gets cold, that can be a dangerous situation. Your body temperature can drop. If your hands or your feet are really cold, it's going to impair your ability to control the motorcycle. And then the legs, because they catch so much wind, it was just really, really uncomfortable. My legs getting cold would force me to go home sometimes. The way I addressed these needs was first to get this Slipstreamer Spitfire windshield for $60. That keeps the wind off of my chest and off of my neck. And then for $20, these Kppen hand mitts. They're actually ATV mitts that your hand slips inside of, and they have this fur lining inside of them. They did require a little modification that I'll talk about, just a hole to be able to put the mirrors in them. And then for $20, I got some thermal underwear at the top and the bottom. That made $100 right there. Then for another $40, and they were well worth it, I got these Arctic's snow pants. And they're available in a variety of both waist sizes and lengths. Since the days are getting short and it's getting colder, I think I'd much rather be riding. Let's hop on the bike and I'll talk about each of these things, show you some more photos, and tell you why I decided to purchase what I did and how it seems to be working out so far. As I talk about this gear, I should be clear about what my objectives and my expectations were with everything. When I first set out on this project, I thought it would be super cool to have a bike that I could just hop on anytime during the winter and feel comfortable on, you know, assuming the roads are not slick and dangerous. But if it was 25 degrees, I could hop on it and go. But I began to consider my budget, and I could see that first route quickly escalating beyond my budget and capabilities. So I set that budget of $100 and readjusted my expectations to saying, what can I do that will allow me on those warmish days that we get, those occasional upper 30 days in December, January, and February, to hop on the motorcycle and go for a ride. Hopefully get out 2 or 3 days in those months at least and get a little vitamin sunshine and enjoy myself, even if it's just for a short ride. One thing to keep in mind about winter is you can see an appealing temperature high for a day, but you have to realize that that high might only last for 20 minutes on that day. The days are very short, and the temperature peaks are very short, and so when you get a decent day to ride, you really have to take advantage of it. So readjusting those expectations, first thoughts as far as the windshield were, man, I would have loved to have had the big Slipstreamer that is tall and wide and covers your hands and blocks the airflow to your legs. I had a buddy with one of these back in the 80s, and it was absolutely amazing. But with the retail of $200 or more, it just wasn't a possibility here. So I started thinking, what are the alternatives to that? And on eBay, you can find big fairings for $60. And they would cut quite a bit of wind, and they're definitely ugly, man. Those things are ugly. I didn't mind that so much. I thought if it's just a wintertime thing, I can deal with that. But I also read the reviews, and it looked like they were pretty flimsy. They just weren't made especially well. So I decided not to go that route, and I settled on this little Slipstreamer Spitfire windshield. And I've had these in the past. This thing is so incredibly well made. It's thick, the mounting is really simple, and they made it for so many years that they've absolutely perfected it. It's simple, solid, it does the job. And a big plus, well, two big pluses. One, it's only $60, but the other one is that I really do like the styling of it. It no longer became just a, what can I use in the winter fairing? It's something I'm cool with on there 3 seasons out of the year, maybe even 4. It does a good job of deflecting the rain too. It is smaller in size, so what it does a good job of deflecting the wind off of my helmet and my neck, I've found, off of my shoulders. I do get at a temperature of 40 degrees, and 40 degrees so far this year is the coldest I've ridden this setup in. I do get a little concentration of cool air on my upper chest. When I go faster, that seems to go away, but at around 40 miles an hour, the way the flow works, I feel just a little bit on my chest. Now, what I experienced with that was, it was much more pronounced when I started my ride. I thought, oh, I could use one extra layer. Right now I have on my dual sport wind-resistant coat, then I have a hoodie on underneath that, then my thermals. And I thought, wow, if I had like my fleece vest on, I think I'd be good. But that said, as I rode further and my body heated up more, that was no longer even a consideration. I just found myself super comfortable. At no point was I uncomfortable, but when I began, I did notice that with this small fairing, there was a little bit of wind on my chest. Then with the mitts, these are actually ATV mitts, as I mentioned. They're slightly modified. The reason I went with the ATV ones was just because they were only $20. And for 20 bucks, I couldn't be happier. Right now, I'm wearing my summer gloves under these. Today, it's in the upper 40s. We may hit 50, but certainly no sunshine. It's not cold out, but it would be chilly without them. But my summer gloves are plenty, and when I was riding in 40-degree weather, my winter gloves were just downright hot. These mitts are really well suited for somebody, I think, of average size. I don't think they would work really well if you had really heavy winter gloves on with fat fingers, or a really fat coat. It might be hard to get your arms in it, but for the vast majority of people, if you're average sized and you're not wearing some kind of really super thick coat, I think you'll be plenty pleased with them. With the winter gloves on, it did take me just a little bit of work to figure out how I would reach the controls, particularly the turn signal with my thumb. It then became second nature, but it took a little concentrated effort with these lighter gloves that I anticipate myself being able to wear most of the winter on the type of rides I'll be doing. It's not a problem at all. So happy with the windshield, happy with the mitts. And then the thermals, I don't have a whole lot to compare them to. I've typically worn the old school waffle long underwear. So these are something, though, that are a good investment. I do a lot of winter hiking, and these are great for that. And I would say the same for the snow pants. I'm really impressed with the snow pants for $40. The fit is great. I have a 32-inch waist. I got the medium, that's fine. These have a 30-inch inseam, which is slightly long for me, but that's okay because on a motorcycle, as we know, it's nice to have a little extra length since our legs are bent all the time. That way the pants aren't riding up on us. So for me, on both the thermals and the snow pants, I just went by what the recommended sizes were on the sizing chart, and it worked out okay for me. I think with any of this stuff that's not really expensive, it's not the highest grade stuff, you're probably going to find variances in production runs. Maybe somebody that bought these exact things a year ago might have fit them slightly different than they fit them today, just because of variances in the manufacturing. I don't know, but I'm real happy with how this stuff has turned out for me. And all this stuff is from Amazon, so it's easily returnable, and I'll put Amazon links below. I will definitely give an update later in the year on how all of this stuff is working out. The little Yamaha is just doing a wonderful job. I've actually fallen in love with this bike. It's started out as a $400 project to see what I could do, and it's just so much darn fun to ride. And knowing that I put the effort into it to get it to this point, and it just starts up and warms up and runs so reliably. It's been a great addition to the garage, and for, you know, about $800 total. Alrighty, the sun's about to set here on the Ohio River. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If it's been a help, please do give it a like, and I hope you'll consider subscribing. I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers at some point. It's a ways away right now, as of late November 2019, but it's a goal of mine. I love goals. And thanks again for watching. Hope to see you on the road sometime, and ride safe.